I'm on the drugs right now. I can use your love right now. But instead they tryna tear me down.
The highlight of the show. All right, so Andrew Brown was shot 5 times. Okay, so basically, this is telling me a little bit too in depth. Basically, a man named Andrew Brown Jr. was shot by police recently. They were there for a drug charge, and they were there to arrest him. And then let's see. The short of it is the story that they're reporting is basically he had put the car into reverse, and then he had put it back forward, and then during that process he was shot. How many times did it say?
5.
5 times. Once in the back of the head. And right now, North Carolina judge has rejected a bid for a public release of the body cam videos in the Andrew Brown Jr. shooting. So basically, they've asked, the people have been pushing for them to, there's 4 body cams and 1 dash cam. People have been pushing to get those body cams out, and basically the judge denied it. And then I heard the family speaking, they said they'd only been able to see 1 body camera, and it was only a slight portion. So they didn't really get to see the entirety of the situation. So there's obviously a lot of uproar and a lot of things that aren't really known about it. Anything?
I bet people like that the judge is not letting it out, but that only makes it even worse. Like how bad it would look.
You said you think people like that the judge is
I think
letting it
people are maybe thankful for the sense of like, if it's this bad, like if there is protests, riots, and like looting again, then it's just as bad as you think. Like if they're what's it called? Like if they're not releasing it, like that idea, like how like once they do release it, it's like I wonder what they actually did. Like it's probably gruesome.
Well, that's why I think it should be seen by the people. I mean, people should be able to see what happened to see what happened to this gentleman, basically.
Of course.
If they did it in public, why can't you just show the fucking footage?
I think it should all be made transparent, like body cam footage, stuff like that. I mean, I guess I see what you're saying, like the uproar it could create, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, let the people decide with our eyes.
Yeah. I'm not on the side of like, they shouldn't fucking release it. I was just saying that, like, I bet there's groups of people that are like fine with that.
Oh, white people?
Probably. There's definitely.
Probably. Probably.
What do you think about it, though? Give us your take.
No, I was just thinking like how bad could it be? Like, I bet it's bad. That's my main thought on it.
I think it must, because what other reason would they have to not release
exactly
it?
That's the point.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's just hard to know. I think that it should be released, but it's hard to kind of speculate what's on it. They do say a lot of people had chimed in and said basically it's against their protocol they're supposed to highly avoid shooting at into vehicles that are moving, and that's pretty much their only directory is that they're not really supposed to be shooting into vehicles that are moving. We don't really know much else about the situation except for he backed up, went forward, and ended up getting shot once in the back of the head, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. That's kind of telling to me because you're obviously shooting at the back of someone. And I mean, if the story is that he reversed into them, it's just hard to really make an objective call on what was done and what was the right thing that should have been done. Without the body cam, I think it's weird that it's not being put out though.
And he got shot 5 times.
Yeah,
like that's fucking crazy.
So what's the background of the situation? Like, why would the police?
It was a drug charge.
Drug charge?
Yeah.
So they try to like arrest him or something?
Yeah, exactly. They arrest him, and I guess he put the reverse forward, and then got shot. So I mean, that's why it's kind of, I don't have much of a take on this, but I feel like people should hold back on certain takes until they know. Like, I could easily sit here and frame it one way and be like, look at this shit all, but it's like we talked about last episode. Like, you lose power and just jump into a conclusion. You might as well just wait to get all the information, and then as soon as we find out it was some bullshit and that we find a way to get the body cam videos released, then we pounce on them, then we make our voices heard and talk about the bullshit that we're seeing. In this case, I don't know, it's kind of hard to make a judgment, but it's not a great look, someone getting shot in the back of the head, and it's against protocol to shoot into a moving vehicle.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I told you before, I don't really follow each individual story.
Yeah,
I follow the narrative. And so when I say that, and I think that not saying all of it's bullshit, but reality, if you want to categorize it, it's bullshit. And I follow the narrative. And the narrative is that every single black man that's being killed is in the process of being prosecuted for something else. They're a criminal. They're fucking up. They're doing something wrong. They have a gun on them when they're not supposed to. whatever scenario you want to pick, a legal gun on them, counterfeit money, anything, a drug addict, anything you want to say that's bad, it applies to the people that are getting killed. So that is a narrative that is playing, that black people are doing fucked up shit at the times that they're getting killed. She's about to stab somebody. She got killed. I mean, the list goes on about black people breaking the law at the time they get killed, right? Mm-hmm. Now you have people looking at the cops saying, fuck the cops, fuck this, fuck that, fuck this, fuck that. And they're raising what the narrative is of the criminal to the status of a hero, and taking what the police is supposed to be, which is the status of solidarity or some type of function, which is not running, which we know there's shit to fix. But those are now evil. Mm-hmm. So there is a flip in our psychology and how we look at these cases that are coming out. So I just want to point that out. Like that's the narrative that I don't know what else that leads to, but that's why all these stories kind of piss me the fuck off, because I'm thinking about it from, not saying I'm different than anybody, but I'm not saying that each individual person did or did not happen, but it's just hard. It's kind of hard seeing that narrative, and again, being the person that I am, to see like we're not shown in the best light no matter how we're shown. So even when we talk about, social justice, like, bro, the narrative still stands that whatever it is, that this person was doing a crime, so the other side can argue he's a criminal, he's a drug addict, he's this, he's that, but you're going to always argue that, no, he died because he's black. So now we're going to go in fucking circles about bullshit forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I peeped that too. A lot of people use that, like, even with George Floyd, there was like, okay, he was on drugs, like, he was a criminal, he did some stuff back in the day. I'm just like, okay, like, so you mean he deserves to die? But like people still use that argument over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it's like for certain like racist people, they're just looking for any reason to be like, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. And like, okay, he's a criminal. That's the one thing I
said nothing about race. I didn't say anything about racism. I said narrative and what everybody else in the world sees and what everybody sees. That's portrayed on media. What's programmed in your head to psychology to see.
Yeah, but we all know why it's like that though. Like we all hip to it. Like
I mean, yeah, but.
Yeah. They just try to like make it seem like, okay, yeah, black people are getting killed, but like they're not so innocent, and they try to frame it that way.
He's saying, but what he said that stuck out to me is how he's showing how the narrative is flipping. So now I think he's talking about how people. One aspect is how even we were talking about the Ma'Khia Bryant, the stabbing thing. Mm-hmm. How sometimes it seems like people jump to a conclusion. To now the narrative is changed. So now the person that gets killed, regardless of anything, they're the hero. And then we've basically the roles have flipped. Now we just assume like, oh, the cops have done this, the cops have done that, without kind of being objective. I think if we're objective, then we do just focus on what's right. So that was crazy because it's been 15 episodes, and I've never like this dude made perfect sense his entire take. I didn't want to be tasteless and like do the bell, but I was this close to, just on the fact of like that was a fucking bar. Like when the way you talked about the narrative had flipped. That was some shit right there, and I honestly I agree with it.
We were all like shut up and paid attention and shit. Like,
I know, bro. I wasn't rolling my eyes or nothing, bro. Like that's crazy.
You be rolling your eyes? Not playing.
Yeah, I didn't look at the camera confusion.
I know sometimes you do because I be doing the crazy shit, but it's cool.
Yeah. But nah, because that was a really good take. I like that.
No, that it's interesting, but yeah, that pretty much summarizes a lot of what we're seeing. Let's talk about the next incident that happened.
Girl, I'm off the drugs right now. I could use your love right now, but they steady trying to tear me down. I just wanna tell you now,